Hey guys, Ben Paint here, and today we're back once again for another video, and this time, instead of being at Bristol or Cardiff or anywhere near me, we've taken the trip this time up to Teamsport Birmingham to give it a go for my first time in a members 3-for-2 social session. And this was one that I really enjoyed. I'd never been to the track before and I just really wanted to hit the ground running and get some decent times. Now my aim in this session was to try and get a low 36 or high 35 second lap, so let's see if we can do it. Now before we get into the video and as we cross the start finish line for the first time, I would like to say, if you are new here, could you please hit the subscribe button, as it really does mean the world to me. But only a couple of subscribers off of 200, and it really would make my day if we could reach that very soon. And if you do enjoy this video as well, could you please hit the like button down below, as it really does mean the world to me and it helps me out a lot. But jumping into the footage, you can see straight away I really was just trying to get to grips with the track as much as I possibly can, as quick as I can. You can see the two drivers up ahead that I wanted to stay as close as possible to, as I know they're regulars to the track and have been coming for the last year. So here in this top section, I really felt that I had this nailed down quite quickly. It was this second half of the track, or the first part if you will. I saw the last bit as the first bit in my head, I'm not sure why, but here we go, we come across the line on our first lap of 46.441, and this is the part of the track where I really was losing a lot of time. I wasn't quite getting the car turned in the correct ways in some corners, and you can see here down the straight losing a lot of time due to just not having a very good run out of the corners. So here through this corner, the chicane, my favourite corner at Teamsport, gone absolutely flat out, and as we come into the bottom hairpin, I did tag the person at the bottom of the ramp. I felt really guilty, and then I tried to go up the ramp myself, but as you can see here, it didn't quite work out, so I ended up rolling backwards back down the hill, causing a bit of a car park at the bottom of the ramp, and finally trying to urge myself forward back up the ramp. The marshal clearly not very impressed with my driving and under yellow flags who are underway. But if the person who I hit there is watching this video for some miracle, then I do want to apologise. That was not my fault. I didn't mean it. Well, it was my fault obviously, but I didn't mean to do it, and no hard feelings. But coming round again, we are under yellow flags, but I just thought that'd be a funny moment to include. Everyone makes mistakes. I did go in a little bit too hot there into the corner, but once again we come around under yellow flags, and the two guys up ahead did actually wait for me so I could try and follow their lines and try and improve myself. So here you can see I'm right up behind the back, and I'm even giving the person in cart number 12 a little nudge, which I know he enjoyed, because we all love a bit of a nudge in the back every now and then. So we're going round still, going quite slowly, and the lights are going to turn from yellow to green as we come through the chicane section once more. So we're off following the two guys up ahead. Obviously our last lap was detriment to the yellow flags, but it was a 1 minute 4 second .680, which is obviously a lot slower than our fastest lap so far, which is a 46.441, and our fastest lap in the second session, which was the session before this, was actually a 45.7. so I'd already hit my goal that I wanted to achieve, which I was really happy with, and I knew that I had a couple of attempts left in me, so it was really a matter of just knuckling down and getting the lines right and trying to learn as much as I possibly could from the two drivers ahead of me in order to get as good a result as I possibly could. You can see that unfortunately before the long straight I did clip the inside barrier, and you can see how much time that actually caused me to lose by losing a lot of the momentum. And as I said, the chicane really was one of my favourite corners, as you can just keep the throttle in the whole way through, and you just have to trust the car it's going to have enough grip. And the same with the top section here, obviously gone a little bit too tight there again, clipping the inside curb on that section, and this means I lose a little bit more time. So it wasn't the tidiest lap this, but we are coming down this ramp here, which did feel like a bit of a roller coaster, I won't lie. It was so steep and it was a lot of fun to go down, but we do come across the line on this lap, improving our fastest lap so far with 46.161 second lap, so only 4 attempts off my fastest lap of the evening so far, which I was really happy with. I knew I had a lot of pace in the locker, and I was just willing to show it as best as I possibly can. But you can see the two drivers up ahead really have just raced away into the distance, so I was losing a little bit of time here and there, and you can see again coming through the chicane making a bit of a mistake, but the two drivers up ahead getting held up by the back markers here, and this caused me to actually overtake one of them and sort of try and make a move of my own. You can see the driver in front of me going all over the place, so I switch it to the inside and make a bit of a lunge going into the double hairpin section before the down ramp. So I actually pulled off a pretty good move there coming into this section of the track once again. Really difficult corner for me to get right. I couldn't quite get the line right and get the grip down as well as I wanted to. and here you can see going a little bit wider in the apex there, just to try and get a better run onto the flat out part of the track. So you can see here, trying to stay as close as I can to the driver ahead, who is wearing orange and black. So going as flat out as I possibly can through the chicane, and again overcooking it a little bit there and going into the barrier, but it doesn't seem to lose me a lot of time. You can see the overspeed I managed to get out, almost becoming overtaking range of the person ahead in cart number 19, and here I was just following them through as much as I possibly could, and you can see they go really wide into the first hairpin. That causes them to compromise their exit going down the ramp and into the right hand corner. So here again I was really looking for a way past, just so I could get some clean air to get some quick laps in. As you can see, we come across the line on that lap with a 46.669, which is a little bit slower than our fastest lap so far, but not a bad lap nevertheless. So again, you can see the driver ahead trying to sort of defend from me, but luckily for myself I was able to get the switch back in the end by making him take a whole manner of different lines through the first half of the lap. Now again, coming through the chicane section flat out as much as I can, I'm really trying to get the back of the car turned in for the up ramp. But as you can see, once again there was another yellow flag in the session, so this caused me to slow down a little bit, try and regroup and really try and find some time to the drivers ahead of me. So I wanted to try and get as close to them as I possibly could. You can see them up ahead, just because I wanted to really get in range of the sort of times that they can do, and really just try and focus on getting as best lap time as I possibly can. You can see the culprit from the yellow flag there on the first corner, who had spun out. So we are currently sat right behind Jay, who is one of the local drivers at Birmingham, and I was really looking forward to just sticking behind him, just following his lines. I did do quite a little bit of this in the second session, but here we go underway with the green flags once again. He gets a bit of a jump start on me, but I was just willing to try and stick on his bumper as much as I possibly could, just to try and see if any of the lines that he was doing I could do differently. But you can see really closing up through the bottom ramp there, going up the ramp, so really closing on him through the hairpin section. This means that I'm able to get as close as I possibly can, almost touching his bumper through the double hairpin section as well, getting held up a little bit by the driver in front, and he goes for the inside coming down the ramp, which is a bit of a deadly move, but it paid off really well. And now we come across the start finish line. Obviously the last lap was a 54.650 second lap, but the lap you are watching now is in fact the fastest lap of the session. Now this was just due to the fact that for the rest of the session there was just a lot of traffic, a lot of just general messings up, so this meant that this lap you're watching now is the best lap that I was able to perform, really getting through the chicane section without making any contact with the barriers, and the same with the bottom hairpin, going up the ramp, getting as tight as I possibly can without actually making contact with anything is usually the best method for going around the Teamsport tracks. You're able to hold as much momentum as you possibly can. You can see just really throwing the car in through the double hairpin section, losing a little bit of time on the run out of the corner, and just trying to keep the car as stable and planted as I possibly can coming down the ramp. And we do come across the line with a 45.767 lap, which was in fact my fastest lap of the evening and my fastest lap of the third and final session that I competed in. Now unfortunately I felt that I could have maybe got down to a lower 45-second lap, but just because of the way that the rest of the session was run, I was just unable to really maximise myself to actually gain any more time on that time. So 45.7 was really smash bang in the target that I set for myself, was a high 45, low 46-second lap, which I was really happy with, especially as I'd never been to Birmingham before. I was able to pick it up quite quickly and be only a couple of attempts off two of the more regular drivers that have been coming in for the last year. So I was really happy with this, really happy with my performance, and I do look forward to going back up here again soon. But as you can see, our last lap there, as I let one of the other drivers through on the back straight, we came across the line there of a 46.787 second lap, which was still a pretty decent lap, about a second off the pace, but it was still a little bit quicker than some of the other drivers that were there on the evening. So I was still really happy with my pace. I had very nice average lap times, and I was just looking forward to just trying to get through as much of the track as I possibly can without making any more mistakes, just not really hitting the barriers, losing momentum, but instead just tagging along behind one of the more regular members at the track, just to follow their lines and just try and tuck into the warmer air, just to try and get a bit more grip on the kart. So you can see again, gaining a little bit of time into the entry of the double hairpin section, but losing it on the exit. So I don't know if the line I was taking was just a little bit different, and this caused me to sort of lose the time coming out of the corner compared to going in. But we come across the line now on that lap, 45.906, and again through the first section of the track, this is the part I was really struggling with. I couldn't quite hook the corners up in the same way that the other two drivers that are regulars were sort of doing, and this caused me to lose a little bit of time, whereas I felt through the second half of the lap, obviously not on that occasion hitting myself straight into the barrier, but coming through the second half of the lap I felt I was a bit smoother on the pedal application, and this meant that I was able to just really close up some a little bit compared to the first section of the lap where I was losing a bit of time. But you can see the driver ahead of me in the blue and black suit really has been held up here by one of the other drivers, and he's dived down the inside to try and overtake them, and I decided to follow him through as I didn't want to see him just race off into the distance. I still wanted to follow along and see where I could improve, and again you can see him getting held up by another driver in the Teamsport suit, going into all sorts of shapes and sizes here, and instead deciding to plant himself straight into the wall there. I did say sorry to the guy ahead of me, because I did actually go straight into the back of him, as both of us had no idea what that driver was doing, and he decided to instead just give himself a face full of barrier. So we carry on here, going into the last few laps of the session. We're really tucked up behind the driver ahead of us here, and just really trying to get the pedals planted in the way that was sort of correct for the track. So here I really did brake quite late, so compared to normally where I'd use a bit more of a softer application on the pedal and give quite a gradual increase on the pressure, instead decided to hit the brakes quite hard, which is against my natural driving style, just because by stamping on the brakes a little bit harder I was able to get the rotation of the back wheels round, because the tyres would lock up, and this would allow me to point the car in the direction that I really wanted to go in, rather than trying to be a little bit smoother with the wheels and the pedals. So again, just going through the second part of the track here, and you can see again going through that really fast chicane. It doesn't quite do it justice on the camera, mate. It was a really enjoyable corner, and again through the bottom hairpin, going up the ramp, really wanted to carry as much momentum up the ramp as I possibly could, just to try and get as much speed going into this top section of the track. Again, just trying to stay as tight as I possibly can to the two apexes, and really opening up the steering just to make sure that I maintain as much momentum as I possibly can. And again, we come across the line on this lap with a 45.841, so a pretty similar time to our fastest lap so far, but still not quite getting the same speeds as we were earlier in the session, or is our fastest lap so far in this session. So we come round the back straight once again, really trying to stay tight as I possibly could to the left hand side, while then moving back to the right in order to just really open the corner up and really hold as much momentum down as I possibly could. Again, diving down the inside here of one of the other drivers as I come up the ramp, and I think he got sort of put offline by the driver ahead of me a bit there, so that allowed me to have a nice easy position of free air on the track. So again, just coming through the top hairpin section, really just trying to get the car rotated as much as I possibly could, and the same coming down the ramp here, just trying to make sure the car stays planted to the ground. Really difficult corner to get right, and then we come across the line on that lap with a 46.108, and we do come round here again. I do get the corner a little bit wrong there on the first couple of corners, and this could just go really wide. You can see me shaking my head there a little bit as I was a bit upset with myself, and I knew that I did have a little bit more pace left in me, but I just was unable to show it on this evening, and this obviously meant that my fastest lap remained as a 45.767. But again, coming into this part of the lap, I did find that I did have a little bit more pace compared to the driver ahead, and this meant that he wasn't able to just break off into the distance. I wasn't able to just lose him immediately, but again here you can see on these two corners I did actually muck it up a little bit, and this caused me just to lose a lot more time. So we do come across the line here on this lap with a 45.921 second lap, and I do believe that this lap was in fact the last lap of the session. So you can see there's a lot of traffic up ahead, which is never really a good sign, and obviously at the time I didn't quite know that it was going to be the last lap of the session. So here coming through the chicane, unfortunately having to lift off and actually brake because the driver ahead of me was going quite slow, and here I just went for a big dive bomb down the inside into the bottom hairpin and stick into the middle of the track just to ensure that I kept the position. But obviously I was unable to improve on my fastest lap in this session just because I had to make some overtakes here, and I was actually stuck behind some of the other drivers. Another driver there deciding to park the car on the outside of that corner, which I was quite confused about. We do come around the last corner here, just trying to get the momentum stuck in with the car, and we come across the line with a 47.007 lap. So it wasn't the best lap, and this was obviously reflected in the time that I was given. However, this does in fact bring us to the end of the video, so I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you have, could you please hit the like button down below and subscribe for more videos in the future. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.